The gunshot echoed through the penthouse suite before Zephyrine Matthews could process what she was seeing. Blood splattered across the white marble floor, and the man crumpled at Solana Vert's feet stopped twitching. The blonde woman lowered the silenced pistol, her blue eyes cold as winter ice, and turned to face the doorway where Zephyrine stood frozen. "Well," Solana said, her voice sickeningly sweet, "looks like the little contract bride has wandered where she doesn't belong." Zephyrine's heart hammered against her ribs. She'd only wanted water. It was her first night in this gilded cage, and she thought everyone was asleep. Now she was watching a murder unfold in her supposed husband's penthouse. I didn't see anything," Zephyrine stammered, taking a step back. Her natural curls, still damp from the shower, clung to her neck. "I'll just go back to my room." "Too late for that, sweetheart." The deep voice came from behind her, and Zephyrines breath caught. Kang Min-Jun stepped out of the shadows, his sharp features unreadable in the dim light. He was still in his tailored suit despite the hour, looking like he just stepped out of a boardroom instead of witnessing an execution. "Min-Jun, I can explain," Solana started, but he raised a hand. "Save it," his dark eyes fixed on Zephyrine, and she felt like prey being studied by a predator. "You wanted water." The absurdity of the question made her want to laugh hysterically, but she managed a shaky nod. "Then come here and drink." He gestured to the bar cart near the window. "Solana, clean this up. We'll discuss your carelessness later." Zephyrine's legs felt like jelly as she walked past the body, past Solana's murderous glare, to where Min-Jun stood pouring water into crystal glasses. His cologne, something expensive and woody, filled her senses as he handed her the glass. "This isn't what I signed up for," she whispered. The contract said you'd be my wife for 1 year. It didn't specify what you'd witnessed during that time." He took a sip from his own glass, perfectly calm. "The man on my floor sold company secrets to our competitors." Solana was enthusiastic in her justice. She murdered him. She eliminated a problem. Min-Jun set down his glass and stepped closer, backing her against the window. The city lights of New York glittered 40 stories below. "Now you have a choice, Zephyrine. You can run to the police, tell them what you saw, and I'll make sure your entire family goes down for the fraud I've already uncovered in your father's business. Your sister Amara's embezzlement alone could put her away for 20 years. Zephyrines' breath hitched. "You're blackmailing me." "I'm giving you options." His hand came up to cup her jaw, thumb brushing across her full bottom lip. The touch sent unwanted electricity through her body. "Or you can be a good girl, keep your mouth shut, and enjoy the benefits of being Mrs. Kang. Your choice." Before she could respond, Solana's voice cut through the tension. "Are you seriously touching her right now, after everything I've done for you?" Min-Jun didn't even look at her. "You work for me, Solana. Remember your place. I saved your life. And I've compensated you generously for it." He finally turned, releasing Zephyrine. "Now dispose of the evidence before my mother decides to visit tomorrow." Zephyrine watched Solana's face contort with rage before the woman stormed out, dragging the body toward the service elevator. The moment they were alone, Min-Jun's cold facade cracked just slightly. "I didn't want this life either," he said quietly. "But we both made our deals with the devil. Welcome to hell, Mrs. Kang." The next morning, Zephyrine woke to find a black velvet box on her nightstand. Inside was a diamond necklace that probably cost more than her entire college education. The card read, "Wear this to breakfast. Mother is coming. MJ." She wanted to throw it out the window. Instead, she clasped it around her neck and went downstairs to find Mrs. Kang Sunya waiting in the breakfast room, her elegant hanbok a stunning contrast to the modern penthouse. The older woman's face lit up when she saw Zephyrine. "Oh, you're even more beautiful in person." Sunya stood, pulling Zephyrine into an unexpected hug. "My son has excellent taste, even if his manners are terrible. Tell me, dear, how are you settling in?" It's lovely, Mrs. Kang," Zephyrine managed, surprised by the genuine warmth. "Please call me mother, we're family now." Sunya guided her to a seat. "I know this marriage was sudden, but I can see something special in you. Min-Jun needs someone who can soften his edges." If only she knew those edges included covering up murders. Min-Jun arrived then, pressing a kiss to his mother's cheek before taking the seat across from Zephyrine. "Mother, you're here early. I wanted to meet my daughter-in-law properly, and to remind you that the charity gala is this weekend. Zephyrine will need a dress." "Already handled." Min-Jun's eyes met Zephyrine's across the table. "I've arranged for a stylist to come this afternoon." The rest of breakfast passed in a blur of Sunya's questions about wedding plans. There had been none, just a quick courthouse signature. Honeymoon destinations laughable. And whether they were thinking about children, Zephyrine nearly choked on her tea. When Sunya finally left, Zephyrine turned on Min-Jun. "Your mother is lovely. Does she know her son is a—" "Choose your next words carefully," he interrupted, standing. "My mother is off limits. She's the only person in this world I actually care about, and I won't have you poisoning her mind against me." "Why would I need to? You do that yourself with your actions." Something flickered in his eyes, hurt maybe or surprise, before his mask slammed back into place. "The stylist arrives at 2. Don't embarrass me at the gala." He walked out, leaving Zephyrine alone in the too large dining room. Her phone buzzed. A text from her best friend Nia. "Girl, I saw the news. You married a Kang. Call me ASAP." Before she could respond, another text came through. This one from an unknown number. "I'm watching you, little bird. One wrong move and your family pays. S. Solana, of course." Zephyrine deleted the message and tried to calm her racing heart. She'd survived her narcissistic parents and her sister's betrayals. She could survive this. She had to. The stylist turned out to be a whirlwind named Lucia who had Zephyrine in and out of dozens of gowns before finally settling on a stunning emerald silk that hugged every curve and made her brown skin glow. "Mr. Kang has excellent taste in wives," Lucia said, adjusting the neckline. "The last one was all wrong for him." Zephyrine froze. "Last one?" Lucia's eyes widened. "Oh, I shouldn't have, I meant Solana. Everyone thought they'd marry, but obviously," she gestured to Zephyrine, "you're much better suited." As Lucia packed up, Zephyrine's phone rang. Her sister Amara's name flashed on screen. Against her better judgment, she answered. "Zeph, oh my God, I'm so sorry about everything with Marcus. I never meant." "Save it, Amara, what do you want?" Amara's voice cracked convincingly. "I have nowhere to go. Mom and Dad kicked me out when they found out about Marcus and me. Please, you're my sister. Can I just stay with you for a few days?" Every instinct screamed this was a trap. But Zephyrine had spent her whole life trying to win her family's love, and old habits died hard. "Fine, but we need to talk about boundaries." The gala was exactly as awful as Zephyrine expected. She was paraded around on Min-Jun's arm like a trophy, while society's elite whispered behind their champagne flutes. The looks ranged from curious to contemptuous, and she caught more than one woman eyeing Min-Jun like he was dessert. "Ignore them," Min-Jun murmured, his hand warm on her lower back. "They're jealous." "Of what? Being blackmailed into marriage?" His jaw tightened. "Of the fact that you look stunning and I can't seem to stop looking at you." The unexpected compliment made her stumble, and he caught her smoothly, pulling her closer. For a moment, their eyes locked, and Zephyrine felt that dangerous spark again. Then someone cleared their throat behind them. "Min-Jun, introduce me to your lovely wife." The man was handsome in a forgettable way, with eyes that assessed Zephyrine like she was a stock option. Min-Jun's entire body went rigid. "Derek Westwood, I didn't know they let vultures into charity events." Derek laughed, still bitter about the Singapore deal. "That's just business, my friend." He extended a hand to Zephyrine. "Derek Westwood, and you are far too beautiful to be with this workaholic." Before she could respond, Zephyrine felt herself being pulled backward. She would have fallen if strong hands hadn't caught her, Derek's hands. "So clumsy," Derek said, helping her upright. "Are you all right?" But Zephyrine had felt it. The deliberate push, so subtle no one else noticed. He'd made her stumble. Min-Jun was there in an instant, pulling her away from Derek with barely controlled violence. "Keep your hands off my wife." "Possessive are we?" Derek's smile was poison. "Interesting, considering the rumors about Solana." "There's nothing between Solana and me except business." "Really? Because she's right over there telling a very different story." Zephyrine followed Derek's gaze to find Solana in a barely there red dress, whispering to a group of socialites who kept glancing their way. She caught Zephyrine's eye and smiled like a cat with cream. "Excuse us," Min-Jun said coldly, steering Zephyrine toward the exit. They made it to a secluded hallway before Zephyrine pulled away. "What was that about?" "Derek is a snake who's been trying to destroy me for years." "And Solana?" Min-Jun's expression shuddered. "Is none of your concern. She's living in our penthouse. She's a business asset. She's in love with you." The words exploded out of Zephyrine before she could stop them. "And she murdered someone in our home, and you're acting like that's normal." "In my world it is normal," Min-Jun said, stepping closer. "You wanted out of your pathetic life. This is the price." "I never asked for this. You bought me like—" His mouth crashed onto hers, silencing her protest. The kiss was angry, demanding, nothing like the chaste peck they'd shared at their courthouse wedding. His hand tangled in her curls, tilting her head back as he deepened the kiss, and Zephyrine's body betrayed her by responding. She kissed him back with equal fury, channeling all her rage and fear into the clash of lips and teeth and tongue. He tasted like whiskey and danger, and when he pressed her against the wall, she gasped. "Mr. Kang." They broke apart to find Min-Jun's assistant standing there, eyes carefully averted. "I'm sorry to interrupt, but there's an urgent call from the office. The Tokyo deal." "I'll take it in the car." Min-Jun straightened his tie, not even looking at Zephyrine. "Get Mrs. Kang home safely." And just like that, he was gone. Zephyrine touched her swollen lips, adding how much she'd wanted that kiss to continue. The assistant, a young Korean woman named Yuna, gave her a sympathetic look. "He does that, runs when things get too real." "You sound like you know from experience." Yuna laughed. "God, no. I'm happily engaged to someone who actually has emotional intelligence. But I've watched Mr. Kang sabotage every good thing in his life for 3 years. You might be the first person who actually fights back." On the ride home, Zephyrines' phone buzzed with a text from Amara. "I'm at your place. Where are you?" Shit, she'd forgotten she'd said yes to her sister staying over. When she walked into the penthouse, she found Amara making herself comfortable in the living room, a bottle of Min-Jun's expensive wine open beside her. "Zeph, this place is insane." Amara jumped up, wobbling slightly. "I can't believe you married a Kang. Like the Kangs, Mom and Dad are losing their minds." "Good," Zephyrine said, exhaustion hitting her. "Let them." Amara's expression shifted to something almost convincing, remorse maybe. "I really am sorry, you know, about Marcus, about everything. I was jealous and stupid and—" "It's late, Amara, let's talk tomorrow." But sleep didn't come. Zephyrine lay in her massive bed, replaying the kiss, the murder, Solana's threats, Derek's calculated stumble. Everything felt like quicksand and she was sinking fast. Around 3 a.m., her door opened. Min-Jun stood silhouetted in the doorway, still in his suit. "Can't sleep either," he asked. "Why are you here?" He crossed to the window, looking out at the city. "This penthouse has been empty for 2 years. Even with Solana here, it was empty. But tonight, coming back and knowing you were here." "Don't," Zephyrine said, sitting up. Don't pretend this is something it's not. What if I want it to be something? He turned to face her, and in the moonlight he looked younger, vulnerable. What if that kiss wasn't just anger? Then you're more dangerous than I thought. He laughed, a real laugh that transformed his face. Probably true. He moved toward the door, then paused. Your sister is stealing from you, by the way. I saw her pocket one of the Fabergé eggs from the foyer. What? Just thought you should know who you're letting into your home. He left, closing the door softly behind him. Zephyrine jumped out of bed and rushed to the foyer. Sure enough, the blue egg was missing from its display case. She found Amara's room and burst in without knocking. Her sister was on the phone, the egg sitting on the nightstand beside her. Worth at least 50 grand easy, Amara was saying. Yeah, she's so stupid she didn't even. She spotted Zephyrine and her face paled. I'll call you back. Get out, Zephyrine said quietly. Zeph, I can explain. I said get out, now, before I call security. Amara's mask of remorse evaporated, replaced by familiar venom. You think you're so special now. You're just his whore, Zeph. Everyone knows it. Marcus told me all about how desperate you were, how you... Marcus is a liar who you manipulated into leaving me, and we both know it. Take your things and leave. Don't contact me again. After Amara slammed out, Zephyrine sagged against the wall. A soft clap made her look up. Min-Jun leaned against his doorframe, watching her. Well done, he said. I was wondering how long you'd let her use you. You set that up. You wanted me to catch her. I gave you information. What you did with it was your choice. He pushed off the wall. For what it's worth, you're stronger than you think. Something shifted between them at that moment. An understanding, maybe, or the beginning of something far more dangerous. The next morning, Zephyrine woke to shouting. She rushed downstairs to find Sunya standing in the living room, holding a phone with a photo on the screen. A photo of Min-Jun kissing Zephyrine at the gala. But it had been edited. Solana's face was photoshopped over Zephyrine's. Is this true? Sunya demanded, her voice shaking. You're still with that woman while married to Zephyrine. Mother, that's not. I defended you. I told the board you changed, that Zephyrine was the fresh start you needed. Mrs. Kang, it's fake, Zephyrine said, stepping forward. That's me in the photo. Someone edited it. Sunya looked at her, then back at the photo. You're certain? I was wearing an emerald dress. See, Zephyrine pointed to the visible strap in the photo. Solana wore red that night. Understanding dawned in Sunya's eyes, followed by fury. That conniving little, she turned to Min-Jun, get rid of her. Today, I don't care what she did for you in the past. She's poisonous. After Sunya left, Min-Jun pulled Zephyrine into his study. Thank you. You didn't have to defend me. I defended the truth. There's a difference. He studied her for a long moment. I need to tell you something about the night you think you slept with my brother. Zephyrine's stomach dropped. What about it? Jai-Ho never touched you. His friends drugged you both and staged it. He's gay, Zephyrine. He ran away because he couldn't handle being forced to marry you when he's in love with someone else. The room spun. Then who? No one. You passed out alone. The whole thing was a setup from the beginning, orchestrated by people who wanted to trap my brother or destroy you. Maybe both. But the scandal, the photos. All staged. And I used it to my advantage because I needed a wife fast, and you needed an escape from your toxic family. We used each other. The honesty was almost worse than the lies. Zephyrine sank into a chair, processing. Does this mean I'm not really married to you? Oh, we're very married, I made sure of that. He crouched in front of her. But now you know the whole truth. What you do with it is up to you. Before she could respond, the study door burst open. A young man who looked like a softer version of Min-Jun stood there, suitcase in hand. Hello, brother, Jai-Ho said, his voice dripping with hatred. I'm back, and I'm going to destroy everything you stole from me. Jae-ho Kang looked like he'd walked through hell. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, and despite his expensive clothes, there was something hollowed out about him. But the rage in his expression was very much alive. "You have 5 seconds to explain what you're doing in my house," Min-Jun said, standing slowly. "Your house?" Jae-ho laughed bitterly. "Everything you have should be mine. The company, the penthouse, even." His eyes landed on Zephyrine and narrowed. "Especially her. She was supposed to ruin me, but instead you swooped in like a hero and took everything." "Jae-ho, I never wanted to marry you," Zephyrine said gently. "If I'd known you were gay, you can say it." He pulled out his phone, swiping through photos. "These hit the internet an hour ago. My boyfriend, ex-boyfriend, decided to cash in on our relationship, so now the whole world knows." The photos showed Jae-ho with a handsome man, clearly intimate. The headlines were brutal. Kang Air's secret shame. Was the wedding scandal a cover-up? Min-Jun's jaw tightened. Derek Westwood did this. "Derek," Jae-ho's laugh was jagged. "Derek doesn't even know I'm alive. I meant nothing to him, just like I mean nothing to this family." "That's not true," Sunya's voice came from the doorway. She walked in, pulling Jae-ho into a fierce hug. "You are my son, I don't care who you love, but this," she gestured to the phone, "this we will handle together, as a family." Jae-ho broke down then, sobbing into his mother's shoulder. Zephyrine felt like an intruder witnessing something too raw, but when she tried to leave, Min-Jun caught her hand. "Stay," he said quietly. "You're family too now." The word felt foreign and warm, and terrifying all at once. Over the next week, chaos reigned. The media circus around Jae-ho's coming out overshadowed everything else. Derek Westwood gave a sympathetic interview about how difficult it must be for the Kang family, which everyone saw through as the calculated move it was. Solana moved out without a word, but not before leaving Zephyrine a final gift. A dead rose with a note that read, "This isn't over." Zephyrine threw herself into work, taking a position at Kang Enterprises despite Min-Jun's protests. He'd wanted her to stay home, play the devoted wife, but she was done being anyone's decoration. On her first day, she met Derek Westwood in the elevator. "Zephyrine Kang," he said, eyes traveling over her appreciatively. "I heard you were joining us, marketing division." "Strategy," she corrected, keeping her voice cool. "Impressive. Min-Jun must trust you quite a bit." He leaned closer, and she caught the scent of expensive cologne that made her stomach turn. "Or he's keeping you close to watch you. Paranoid like that, are Min-Jun." The elevator doors opened before she could respond, but Derek's words haunted her. Did Min-Jun trust her, or was this another form of control? She got her answer that night when she found him in his home office, buried in contracts. "Why did you really hire me?" she asked from the doorway. He didn't look up. "Because you're smart and I need smart people." "Try again." Min-Jun finally met her eyes. "Because watching you sit at home slowly dying was worse than any business risk you might pose." "That's not an answer." "It's the only one I have." He stood, moving around the desk. "You want honesty? Fine. You terrify me. Every time I'm near you, I make decisions that go against everything I've built. I should have kept you locked away, ignorant, easy to control. Instead, I keep—" He stopped inches from her. "I keep wanting to see what you'll do next." "That's not trust, that's curiosity." "Maybe they're the same thing for someone like me." Zephyrine stepped closer, eliminating the space between them. "Then let me be curious about you. Why do you punish yourself by keeping Solana around? Why did you really marry me? And what happened to make you so?" His kiss cut off her questions. Unlike the angry clash at the gala, this was slow, thorough, devastating. He kissed her like he was memorizing the taste of her, and when his hand slid into her curls, she melted against him. "Bedroom," he murmured against her lips. "Now." They barely made it. Clothes hit the floor in a trail from his office to his bedroom, and when he laid her back on the silk sheets, Zephyrine felt like she was stepping off a cliff. "Tell me to stop," Min-Jun said, hovering over her, his eyes searching hers. "Tell me this is a mistake." "It probably is," she breathed, "but I'm done running from mistakes." He made love to her like he did everything else, with intense focus and devastating precision. He learned every sound she made, every place that made her gasp, every touch that made her arch. And when they finally came together, moving in perfect rhythm, Zephyrine understood why this was dangerous. Because somewhere between the blackmail and the lies and the chaos, she'd started falling for her fake husband. After lying tangled in his sheets, Min-Jun traced patterns on her skin. "I lied earlier. I do trust you. That's what terrifies me." "Why?" "Because the last person I trusted tried to kill me." Zephyrine turned to face him. "Tell me." So he did. The story spilled out about how 5 years ago he'd been kidnapped by a rival company, how someone had fed them his schedule, his routes, everything, how he'd been beaten within an inch of his life and left to die in a warehouse fire. "A woman saved me," he said, staring at the ceiling, "pulled me out of the flames. I was barely conscious, but I remember blonde hair, a soft voice telling me to hold on. When I woke up in the hospital, Solana was there. She had burns on her hands, said she'd seen the fire and pulled me out." "But you're not sure it was her?" "I was never sure, but she had proof. My watch, my phone, things from the warehouse, so I believed her. I owed her my life, or so I thought." "What changed?" "You," he finally looked at her. "The way you smell, vanilla and something else, something familiar. It's been driving me crazy since the wedding. And tonight when you grabbed my arm to pull me into a kiss, your grip was exactly the same as—" He sat up abruptly. "It was you. At the warehouse. It was you." Zephyrines' heart stopped. "Min-Jun, I've never—" "Your parents own property in that district. I checked the records today. There was a fire reported 5 years ago, investigated as arson. You would have been nearby, maybe walking home from your job at the coffee shop. That's right, I know everything about you now. You could have seen the smoke, investigated." "I did see a fire," Zephyrine whispered, memory flooding back. "I was cutting through the warehouse district. I heard screaming and found a man trapped under debris. I pulled him out and called 911, but then I heard sirens and ran. I was undocumented then. My parents hadn't fixed my status yet, and I was terrified of getting involved." "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't know it was you. I never saw your face clearly. You were covered in soot and blood, and I was focused on getting you out. By the time I looked back, emergency services were there, so I left." Min-Jun's hands shook as he reached for her. "You saved my life. You, not Solana." "But her burns could have been from anything, and she was always so vague about details, said I should just be grateful." His expression hardened. "She's been using me. All these years she's been using me." Before Zephyrine could respond, glass shattered in the living room. They grabbed robes and rushed out to find Jaiho standing among broken vase pieces, clutching a letter. His face was white. "Someone left this at the door," he said, voice shaking. "It's addressed to both of you." Min-Jun took the letter, and Zephyrine read over his shoulder. "I know what you did. I know who really saved you. And unless you want the world to know about Solana's extracurricular activities, including the body count, you'll transfer 50 million to the account below. You have 48 hours. A friend." "Blackmail," Jaiho breathed. "Someone's blackmailing you." "Or setting a trap," Min-Jun said grimly. He pulled out his phone. "I'm calling security." "I wouldn't do that," a voice said from the balcony. Derek Westwood stepped through the open door, gun in hand. "Not if you want everyone in this room to survive the night." Zephyrine's blood turned to ice. Behind Derek, 2 men in black masks filed in, also armed. "Surprised?" Derek smiled. "You shouldn't be. I've been planning this for years, Min-Jun. Every deal you stole, every contract you undercut, every time you made me look like a fool, it's all been building to this." "What do you want?" Min-Jun positioned himself in front of Zephyrine, but Derek noticed. Ah, so it's real. The great Kang Min-Jun actually cares about someone. Derek's smile widened. That makes this so much better. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to transfer control of Kang Enterprises to me, all of it, or I'm going to shoot your wife in the head and make you watch. You won't get away with this, Jai-ho said, but his voice wavered. Won't I? I have dirt on half the police force. Your security is currently unconscious in the basement, and nobody knows I'm here except, he looked at his watch. Oh, right on time. The door opened, and Solana walked in, followed by someone Zephyrine recognized with a sinking heart. Amara, her sister, was working with them. Surprise, Amara said, her smile vicious. Did you really think I'd let you win, Zeph? You always got everything, the grades, the scholarships, the praise. Even when you married into this family, you somehow landed on top. But not anymore. You're insane, Zephyrine breathed. I'm practical. Derek offered me 10 million to help destroy you. I'd have done it for free. Solana moved to Derek's side, running a hand down his chest possessively. We've been together for 2 years. Min-Jun, did you really think I was pinning for you? You were just a meal ticket. Derek is the real man. Min-Jun's expression was carved from ice. I figured out you were lying months ago. I've been building a case against you. Every murder, every illegal deal, every piece of evidence that's currently being erased from your servers as we speak, Derek finished. I have the best hackers money can buy. By morning, there will be no trace of Solana's activities, and you'll be signing over your company or planning your wife's funeral. Your choice. There's always a choice, Min-Jun said quietly. You made yours when you walked in here. He moved so fast Zephyrine barely tracked it. 1 second he was standing still. The next he'd grabbed a decorative sword from the wall display and hurled it at the light switch. The room plunged into darkness. Gunfire erupted. Zephyrine felt Min-Jun tackle her to the ground, his body covering hers as bullets shredded the furniture around them. Jai-ho screamed somewhere to their left. The panic room, Min-Jun hissed in her ear. Behind the bookshelf, go. Not without you. I said go. He shoved her toward the wall just as the emergency lights flickered on. Zephyrine saw Jai-ho making a run for the kitchen, saw one of Derek's men take aim. She grabbed a lamp and threw it. The man's shot went wild and Jai-ho made it to cover. You bitch! Amara lunged at her with a knife that appeared from nowhere. Zephyrine dodged, but the blade caught her arm, slicing through skin. Pain bloomed hot and bright. Amara raised the knife again, eyes wild with hatred. And suddenly she was flying backward, courtesy of Min-Jun's fist connecting with her jaw. Touch my wife again and I'll kill you myself, he snarled. Derek had his gun trained on them now. How touching. Last chance, Min-Jun sign the papers or watch her die. Neither, a new voice said from the balcony. How about option 3, you all go to prison? Federal agents swarmed in from every entrance, the balcony, the front door, the service elevator. Derek's men were disarmed within seconds. Solana tried to run but was tackled immediately. Derek's face went from smug to panicked. This is impossible. How did you? I called them an hour ago, Min-Jun said calmly, pulling Zephyrine close. When I got the blackmail letter, I knew it was you, Derek. You've been sloppy lately, desperate. I just needed you to incriminate yourself. He gestured to his phone on the coffee table, red recording light blinking. Every word, every confession, all recorded and transmitted to the FBI in real time. Derek's face went from smug to panicked. This is impossible. How did you? I called them an hour ago, Min-Jun said calmly, pulling Zephyrine close. When I got the blackmail letter, I knew it was you, Derek. You've been sloppy lately, desperate. I just needed you to incriminate yourself. He gestured to his phone on the coffee table, red recording light blinking. Every word, every confession, all recorded and transmitted to the FBI in real time. As Derek and his associates were dragged away in handcuffs, Amara spat at Zephyrine's feet. "This isn't over." "Yes," Zephyrine said tiredly, "it is." The EMTs arrived to bandage her arm while police took statements. Jai-ho sat on the couch, shaking, and Sunya arrived in a fury, pulling both her sons and Zephyrine into crushing hugs. "I'm getting too old for this," she muttered. "Min-Jun, you're giving me gray hair." But it was 3 hours later, after everyone had left and the apartment was finally quiet, that the real conversation happened. Min-Jun found Zephyrine on the balcony, staring at the city lights. He wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. "You saved my life tonight," he said, "again." "We saved each other," she turned to face him. "What happens now?" "Now I spend the rest of my life trying to deserve you." He took her hands. "I know this started as a contract, a business transaction, but somewhere along the way it became real for me. You became real, and I—" "Don't," she whispered, "don't say it unless you mean it." "I love you." The words came out rough, unpracticed. "I'm not good at this. I'm damaged and paranoid, and I'll probably mess this up 1,000 times. But I love you, Zephyrine Matthews Kang, and if you'll give me a chance, I'll spend every day proving it." Tears burned her eyes. "I don't want perfect, I want real." "Then let me be real with you." They kissed as the sun rose over New York, and for the first time since this nightmare began, Zephyrine felt hope. 3 days later, at a press conference, Min-Jun announced the truth about their contract marriage and his decision to make it real. The media went insane. Some called it romantic, others called it a publicity stunt. Zephyrine didn't care. She had a month of peace, a month of learning what marriage could be when it wasn't based on blackmail and lies, a month of falling deeper in love with the complicated, damaged, surprisingly tender man who'd bought her freedom and then set her free anyway. And then the doctor called with results from her routine checkup. "Congratulations, Mrs. Kang, you're 6 weeks pregnant." Zephyrine sat in the exam room, mind reeling. 6 weeks meant it happened that first night they'd made love, before the truth came out, before Derek's attack, before any of it. She should tell Min-Jun immediately. But when she arrived home, she found him in his study with Jai-ho and a stranger, a handsome doctor with kind eyes who couldn't stop looking at Jai-ho. "This is Dr. Chen," Jai-ho said, blushing. "He treated me after Derek's people pushed me from the building. We've been talking." Min-Jun caught Zephyrine eye, smiling at his brother's obvious infatuation. The moment was too perfect to shatter with her news. Later, she told herself, she'd tell him later. But that night, while Min-Jun slept, Zephyrine phone buzzed with a message from an unknown number. When she opened it, her blood ran cold. It was a photo of her at the doctor's office with a caption, "Congratulations on the pregnancy. Shame if something happened to it. We need to talk. Come alone to the address below. Tomorrow at midnight. Tell Min-Jun and the baby dies. A friend who's very much not in prison." Beneath it was an address in Brooklyn, and a second photo that made her stomach turn. Solana Vert, who was supposed to be in federal custody, standing outside the doctor's office, free, and smiling directly at the camera. Zephyrine didn't sleep that night. She lay next to Min-Jun, watching him breathe, memorizing the peaceful expression he only wore in sleep. How could she tell him she was pregnant when a psychopath was threatening their child? How could she not? By morning, she'd made her decision. She would go to the meeting, alone, learn what Solana wanted. Then she'd tell Min-Jun everything and they'd handle it together. It was a terrible plan. She knew it was a terrible plan, but her baby's life was on the line. "You're distracted," Min-Jun said over breakfast, studying her with those two knowing eyes. "Something wrong?" "Just tired, didn't sleep well." He reached across the table to take her hand. "Nightmares about Derek." "Something like that. I can stay home today if you need." "No," the word came out too sharp. She softened her tone. "No, I'm fine, really. You have that meeting with the Tokyo investors. I'll probably just catch up on sleep." He didn't look convinced, but his phone rang the office, and he had to go. The kiss he left her with was gentle, trusting. It made her feel like the worst kind of liar. The day crawled by. Zephyrine tried to act normal, but every sound made her jump. She kept checking her phone, half expecting another threat. Around noon, Sunya stopped by with lunch. "You look terrible, dear," the older woman said, setting out containers of homemade kimchi and rice. "Are you coming down with something?" "Maybe a little bug." Sunya's eyes sharpened. "A bug, or perhaps," she smiled knowingly, "morning sickness." Zephyrine's poker face crumbled. "How did you?" "I'm a mother, I know the signs. Does Min-Jun know?" "Not yet. I just found out yesterday, and everything's been so crazy." "Then you should tell him today. He'll be thrilled." "Unless our baby is being threatened by a murderous psychopath," Zephyrine thought, but smiled weakly. "Soon, I promise." After Sunya left, the hours until midnight felt endless. Zephyrine, dressed in dark clothes, left a note saying she'd gone to meet Nia for a late coffee and slipped out at 11:30 p.m. The address led to an abandoned factory in Brooklyn. Every horror movie instinct screamed at her to turn around. But she thought of her baby and kept walking. Inside, the space was cavernous and dark. Zephyrine pulled out her phone for light and immediately heard the click of a gun. "Punctual, I appreciate that." But the voice wasn't Solana's. It was male, familiar. Lights flooded the space, and Zephyrine's heart stopped. Marcus, her ex-husband, stood there with a gun, looking nothing like the weak man who divorced her months ago. This Marcus was cold, calculating. Surprised Zeph. "What is this? Where's Solana?" "In federal prison where she belongs," Marcus smiled. "I sent that text, photoshopped that picture. I needed you here, and I knew threatening your baby would work." "How did you know about?" "I have people at every hospital in the city. The second you took that pregnancy test, I knew." He stepped closer. "You see, I've learned so much these past months, about leverage, about power, about how weak I was before." "Marcus, you don't want to do this." "Don't I? You humiliated me, left me for a richer man, made me look like a fool. Amara manipulated you into leaving me." "I know, and she's rotting in a cell for it. But you," his eyes glittered with madness, "you get to play happy family with a billionaire while I lost everything. My job, my reputation, my—" A shot rang out. Marcus stumbled, clutching his shoulder. Behind him, Min-Jun lowered a gun, his expression carved from ice. "You followed me," Zephyrine breathed. "Always." He walked past Marcus without a second glance, pulling her into his arms. "Did you really think I wouldn't notice you sneaking out? That I'd believe a note about coffee at midnight?" "I was protecting our baby, I know. Mother told me." His hand went to her stomach, protective and possessive. "And you should know better than to protect anything without me." FBI agents flooded in. Apparently, Min-Jun had called them the moment he'd followed her. Marcus was hauled away screaming threats, but Zephyrine barely heard them. "You're not angry?" she asked. "Furious, terrified, relieved." He kissed her forehead. "We'll discuss your incredibly stupid decision to face a threat alone later. Right now." His hand splayed across her stomach again. "Right now, I just want to take you home and start processing that I'm going to be a father." In the car, Min-Jun held her hand so tight it almost hurt. "A baby," he kept murmuring. "We're having a baby. Are you happy?" "Happy? I'm terrified. I had a terrible father. What if I—" "You'll be amazing." He looked at her then, eyes suspiciously bright. "Promise me something. Promise me no more secrets. No more trying to protect me by facing danger alone. We're a team now, a family." "I promise." But even as she said it, her phone buzzed with an email. Medical results from the blood work the doctor had run alongside the pregnancy test. She opened it absently. And the world tilted. Min-Jun, her voice came out strangled, stopped the car. He pulled over immediately. What's wrong? Is it the baby? I'm not who I think I am. She showed him the email. The doctor ran a DNA test as part of the prenatal screening to check for genetic markers, and they found, Min-Jun, I don't share DNA with my parents, either of them. They stared at each other in the glow of the phone screen. You're adopted, Min-Jun said slowly. Or stolen, or, Zephyrines' mind raced. My mother had a miscarriage the year before I was born. She told me once when she was drunk. Said she lost a daughter and God gave her me instead. What if she didn't mean it metaphorically? Min-Jun's expression hardened. We're going to your parents now. The Matthews house was dark when they arrived, but Min-Jun pounded on the door until lights flickered on. Zephyrines' father answered in a robe, annoyance turning to fear when he saw their faces. Where's my mother? Zephyrine demanded. Asleep. What is this about? I know I'm not your daughter, biologically. The question is whether you knew. Her father's face went gray. Behind him, her mother appeared, and the guilt in her eyes was answer enough. How could you? Zephyrine whispered. Mrs. Matthews wrapped her robe tighter. I lost my baby, my real baby, and you were right there in the hospital nursery and nobody was watching and I just took you. You looked like her. You could have been her. You kidnapped me. We gave you a good life. You gave me abuse and neglect, and made me feel worthless for not living up to standards I could never reach because I wasn't actually your child. Min-Jun's hand on her shoulder steadied her. Who were her real parents? I don't know, Mrs. Matthews said. I switched the bracelets. There was a couple, but they moved away after. I heard the mother had a breakdown. I never followed up. I kept you. You stole me. Zephyrine backed toward the door, needing air. All my life you made me feel like I owed you, like I was the problem, and you were just covering up a crime. Zephyrine, please. No, you don't get to call me that anymore. You don't get to call me anything. She turned to Min-Jun, get me out of here. In the car, she broke down. Min-Jun held her while she sobbed out 26 years of confusion and pain and finally understanding why she never quite fit. We'll find them, he promised. Your real family. I'll hire every investigator, search every record. We'll find them. And because he was Kang Min-Jun, with unlimited resources and obsessive determination, they did. It took 3 weeks. 3 weeks of DNA databases and hospital records and tracked down nurses who remembered a distraught couple leaving the maternity ward with empty arms. 3 weeks of Zephyrine's pregnancy progressing, her belly starting to show while they searched for answers. And then they found them. Victoria and James Laurent, living in Paris. Victoria was a renowned artist, James a music professor. They'd spent 26 years searching for their daughter, never giving up hope despite police telling them she was likely gone forever. The video call was arranged by Min-Jun's team. Zephyrine sat in their living room, Min-Jun beside her, hand gripping hers. When Victoria's face appeared on screen, older but unmistakable, with Zephyrine's same eyes and smile, they both started crying. Mon Dieu, Victoria whispered. Josephine, my Josephine. That was my name, Zephyrines' voice cracked. Josephine Laurent, you were 3 days old when they took you. For an hour they talked. About the kidnapping, the failed investigation, the years of grief. About Victoria's art, all of it centered on loss and finding light in darkness. About James's compositions, each one titled with a date, the date they lost her. We never stopped looking, James said, his English heavily accented. Every lead, every possibility. We were going to come to New York next month for another search. And now I found you. Zephyrine touched her belly. And you have a grandchild on the way. Victoria's sob was joyful. When can we meet? In person. Soon, Min-Jun promised. I'll arrange everything. After the call ended, Zephyrine sat in stunned silence. I have a family, a real family who wanted me, who loved me even when I was gone. You've always been wanted, Min-Jun said softly. I wanted you from the moment I saw you at our wedding, even if I was too broken to admit it. My mother wanted you. Jaiho has come to love you. And this baby, he placed his hand over hers on her stomach. This baby is going to be so wanted it'll never doubt it for a second. She kissed him then, pouring all her gratitude and love and hope into it. The next month was a whirlwind. Victoria and James came to New York. The reunion was everything Zephyrine had dreamed of, tears and hugs and hours of catching up. They met Min-Jun and loved him immediately. Sunya and Victoria became instant friends, bonding over their children and art. The press had a field day with the story. Stolen heiress found after 26 years ran alongside photos of Zephyrines growing baby bump and her glowing smile. Her biological parents were wealthy, not Kang level, but comfortable, and they'd established a foundation for missing children in her honor years ago. They wanted her to take over running it someday. For the first time in her life, Zephyrine felt complete. Then the morning sickness got worse. Much worse. At her 3-month checkup, the doctor frowned at the ultrasound. Mrs. Kang, I need to run some additional tests. Fear gripped her. Is something wrong with the baby? The baby Bobbies actually seemed perfectly healthy. Bobbies, Min-Jun's voice cracked, as in plural. The doctor turned the screen, 2 distinct heartbeats, 2 tiny forms. Congratulations, you're having twins. Min-Jun looked like he might faint. Zephyrine started laughing, slightly hysterical. Twins, of course it's twins, because our life isn't complicated enough. That night, celebrating with both families. Zephyrine felt almost drunk on happiness. Jaiho was there with Dr. Chen, now his official boyfriend. Victoria showed them sketches she'd done of the Bobbies. James promised to compose a lullaby. It was perfect. Too perfect. The first sign something was wrong came at midnight. Zephyrine woke to find Min-Jun's side of the bed empty. She found him in his study, staring at his computer with an expression that made her blood run cold. What is it? He turned the screen. Security footage from the federal prison where Solana was being held. Footage from yesterday. Solana's cell was empty. She escaped, Min-Jun said flatly, 12 hours ago, and they're just telling us now. How? Inside help, she always had connections. The question is, his phone rang. Unknown number. He put it on speaker. Hello, Min-Jun, Solana's voice cheerful and deadly. Miss me? Where are you? Close enough to watch your celebration tonight. Twins, how exciting. Be a shame if something happened to them. Zephyrine felt Min-Jun's hand find hers, squeezing. Turn on your notification for more interesting stories.